Hi, our schoolers. I hope you guys have been having a great day on this April Fool's Day. And I have a special new book for you today. It's called The Sweetest Fig by Chris Van Allsburg. And it's a story about something kind of magical. I'm gonna take the cover off of here so I don't make a mess. Alrighty, The Sweetest Fig by Chris Van Allsburg. Monsieur Bibot, the dentist, was a very fussy man. He kept his small apartment as neat and clean as his office. If his dog Marcel jumped on the furniture, Bibot was sure to teach him a lesson. Except on Bastille Day, the poor animal was not even allowed to bark. Bastille Day is like the 4th of July if you're in France. It's a big party and people celebrate. One morning, Monsieur Bibot had an old woman waiting at his office door. She had a toothache and begged the dentist for help. "But you have no appointment," he told her. The woman moaned. "Oh." Bibot looked at his watch. Perhaps there was time to make a few extra francs. He took her inside and looked in her mouth. "This tooth must come out," he said with a smile. When he was done, the dentist said, "I will give you some pills to kill the pain." The old woman was very grateful. "I can't pay you in money," she said, "but I have something much better." And she took 2 figs from her pocket and handed them to Bibot. "Figs?" he said angrily. "These figs are very special," the woman whispered. "They can make your dreams come true." She winked at him and put her finger to her lips. It was clear to Bibot that the woman was crazy. He set the figs down and took her by the arm. When she reminded him about the pills, he said, "I'm sorry, only for paying customers," and shoved her out the door. If you don't know what a fig is, it's a kind of fruit. Sometimes you can have fig Newtons, which is a fig cookie. We don't often have figs here because they don't grow naturally, but maybe you could have your parents point them out in the store. That evening, Bibot took his little dog to the park. Poor Marcel loved to sniff the tree trunks and bushes, but whenever he stopped, Bibot pulled sharply on the leash. Just before going to bed, the dentist had a small snack. He sat at his dining room table and ate one of the figs the old woman had given him. It was delicious, possibly the finest, sweetest fig he'd ever had. In the morning, Bibot dragged Marcel down the stairs for his morning walk. The steep steps were hard for the short-legged little dog, but Bibot wouldn't think of carrying his pet. He hated to get Marcel's hairs on his beautiful blue suit. As he walked along the crowded sidewalk, Bibot could not help noticing people looking at him. "They're admiring my suit," he thought. But when Bibot caught sight of his reflection in the window of a cafe, he stopped in horror. He was dressed only in his underwear. The dentist turned and ran into an alley. "Sacre bleu," he thought, "what has happened to my clothes?" Then he remembered the dream he'd had last night. In his dream, he'd stood in front of that very cafe, dressed in his underwear. Something else had happened in his dream, and Bibot struggled to recall it. Marcel, looking out from the shadows of the alley, began to bark. The dentist looked up and saw the rest of his dream coming true. That's the Eiffel Tower. No one noticed Bibot as he ran home in his underwear. All the eyes of Paris were fixed on the Eiffel Tower, which slowly drooped over as if it were made of rubber. Bibo understood now that the old woman with the figs had told him the truth. He would not waste that second fig. Over the next few weeks, the reconstruction of the Eiffel Tower began, and the dentist read dozens of books on hypnotism. Each night before he went to sleep, he gazed in the mirror and whispered over and over, "Bibo is the richest man on earth. Bibo is the richest man on earth." I think that's what he's hoping he'll dream and be. Soon in his dreams, that's exactly what he was. As he slept, the dentist saw himself steering his speedboat, flying his airplane, living in luxury on the Riviera. Night after night, it was the same. One evening, Bibo took the second fig from his cupboard. It would not last forever. Tonight, he thought, is the night. He put the ripe fruit on a dish and set it on the table. Tomorrow, he would wake up the richest man in the world. He looked down at Marcel and smiled. The little dog would not be coming along. In his dreams, Bibo had Great Danes. That's a great, big, tall dog. As the dentist reached into his cupboard to take out some cheese, he heard the crash of breaking china. He turned to see Marcel standing on a chair with his front paws on the table, chewing the last of the fig. Bibo was furious. He chased the dog around the apartment. When Marcel ran beneath the bed, Bibo yelled at him, "Tomorrow, I'll teach you a lesson you'll never forget." And then the dentist, angry and heartbroken, went to sleep. When he woke up the next morning, Bibo was confused. He was not in his bed. He was beneath it. Suddenly, a face appeared in front of his own face. "Time for your walk," it said. "Come to Marcel." A hand reached down and grabbed him. Bibo tried to yell, but all he could do was bark. And that is the end. So, preschoolers, your job is to think, why did that happen? What was Marcel's wish? And if you had a dream tonight, what would you want to come true? What magic would you want to happen to you? I'll be thinking about it too. Have a good afternoon, guys.